Hey guys, we're going to go over some things I've been studying for years um, because obviously we've been lied to, but we really don't know the extent of the lie. And I'm going to start with this. There was a time the moon did not exist. Okay, Democritus and Anaxagoras mentioned that there was a time when no moon could be seen in the night skies. Aristotle writes that Pelasgians lived in an area since very old times at a time when the moon did not exist. Apollonius from Rhodes mentions something similar. Um, Here we go. In Plutarch's work Morals, we find the following. There were Arcadians in Evander's following, the so-called pre-lunar people. Similarly, Ovid wrote, the Arcadians are said to have possessed their land before the birth of Zeus, and the folk is older than the moon. Stephanus of Byzantium wrote, Arcadians and females both exist before the moon. Hippolytus refers to a legend that Arcadia brought forth Pelasgus of greater antiquity than the moon. Lucianus in his astrology says that the Arcadians affirm in their folly that they are older than the moon. Okay. There's also oral traditions of Colombian Indians. They said in the earliest times when the moon was not yet in the heavens. That's how their scriptures start. And then in Africa, says the Zulu legend, the moon brought hundreds of generations. It was brought hundreds of generations ago by two brothers of alien form. Okay. Now to get more specific into this kind of stuff, I'm going to show you some facts. Okay, instead of just opinions. The moon is brighter than it should be, apparently older than it should be, and much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanation for its presence are fraught with difficulties, and none of them could be considered remotely forthright. This is all from a David Icke show. You might not agree with his ideas, but these are all other people's sayings that he collected. Isaac Asimov. We cannot help but come to the conclusion that the moon by rights ought not to be there. The fact that it is one of those stroke of lucks almost too good to accept. Small planets such as Earth with weak gravitational fields might well lack satellites. In general, then, when a planet does have satellites, those satellites are much smaller than the planet itself. You know, like Saturn and Uranus and Jupiter, they're all 10 times smaller than the moon and Earth comparatively. Okay, the best explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon doesn't exist. It seems easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. It's a NASA scientist, y'all. In November '69, NASA set up parameters. Sorry, I can't read that. It intentionally crashed a lunar module, causing an impact equivalent to 1 ton of TNT. The shockwaves built up, and NASA scientists said the moon rang like a bell. As to the meaning of it, I'd rather not make an interpretation right now, but it is as though someone had struck a bell, say, in the belly of a church, a single blow, and found that the reverberation continued for 30 minutes. The moon is hollow, guys. Said that rather small impact produced an effect that lasted up to 30 minutes, was quite beyond the range of our experience. NASA scientists said it would seem that the moon is more like a hollow than a homogeneous sphere. Okay? They have the frightening possibility that the moon might be hollow. Okay? Is the moon a creation of an alien intelligence? The Soviet Academy of Sciences, not some New Ager, okay? The outer surface of the moon is extremely hard and contains minerals such as titanium. Moon rocks have been found to contain processed metals including brass and mica, and elements uranium-236 and neptunium-237 have never been found to occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a long-lived radioactive nuclear waste and is found in spent nuclear fuel and reprocessed uranium. Okay, so it's not natural. This moon isn't just a rock. Let's see. The samples were mind blowers in that he could not account for the titanium. Okay. It's more likely what we have here is a very ancient spaceship, the interior of which was filled with fuel from the engines, materials and appliances for repair, and navigation and instruments and observation and all manner of machinery. In other words, everything necessary to enable this caravel of the universe to serve as a Noah's Ark of intelligence, perhaps even as the home of a whole civilization envisaging a prolonged existence and long wanderings through space. Okay? The moon is made inside out, scientists. Okay, and because of that, here's the thing, y'all. Atlantis was before Noah's flood, okay, and there was space travel to Mars, okay, and the arrival of the moon caused the flood, okay. This is like 20,000 years ago, and according to David Icke and a bunch of other things, the presence of the moon is blocking our pineal gland. This is the fall, guys. This is when we were not connected with God anymore. Atlantis was connected in some more spiritual way that we don't know of. But after Noah's flood, that killed Atlantis, and that was the arrival of the moon. Okay, guys? And then we have to look at Mars and consider the monuments on there. All right? This is, Cydonia. There's a big pentagram pyramid right there, and that's the face on Mars. Okay? We've all heard of the face, and people want to disclaim it, but there's some hard science involved with this. Okay, and Karl Munck's The Code, which was released 38 years ago, he studied all this stuff. The pyramids, Stonehenge, monuments of Mars, and even worked with Richard C. Hoagland to get some data because of the Mars satellites and stuff. He found that the volume of the pyramid divided by its vector, as in the grid longitude mathematics, y'all can go into that later, divided by the height divided by the length, is 1.013944669. Okay, and then if you divide that number by the product of 2 pi squared and 2 pi cubed, you get 9929.184896. This is kind of like 2 hours into the documentary, so you might have to watch that yourself. Obviously, you should. I'll put the links in the description. But what is that number, okay? That's the grid longitude of the Great Pentagram of Cydonia on Mars. Okay, this is called the grid vector. Okay, all spheres have a grid vector in geomathematics. So the pyramid, its exact coordinates and position and construction and all that dimensions hides the Cydonia, site on Mars, because we used to be on Mars, y'all. Then it exploded or something. Something crazy went down. This is the Pyramid of Quetzalcoatl in Mexico. It has 9 terraces, 4 corners, and 4 staircases, and the staircase is 364 steps to go up it. Okay, so just add that all and multiply it. Well, actually, sorry, don't add it. Just multiply it. You get 52,560. So what is that? That's its exact position on Earth. 119 degrees by 42 minutes by 10.516204 seconds. Multiply its actual grid, its actual longitude by itself, and then you get its exact description that it's showing with the math and all the numbers and steps added up and multiplied. I mean, this is explaining why it is where it is. I've already made a video on Karl Munck a couple years ago, but this is hard stuff, okay? And so, 72 pi times 2 pi is 1421.223034, and that's where this major monument is. 39 degrees by 1 minute and 36.4416 seconds. Just multiply it all, you get 1421, okay? All these monuments are hiding pi and universal constants because that's what Atlantis was. It was a universal system. But the current day system wants to tell you everything is separated. Okay, this is the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. So we have 2 pi times 4 pi times 5 pi times 6 pi. And that actually goes with the steps. We're not just pulling these numbers out of nowhere. Multiply it all, and then you get its exact position once again. 90 degrees, 41 minutes, 30.0100503 seconds. Okay, all using the number of steps and the universal constant pi. Okay, so not only did they know pi, but they're just literally polluting all of their monuments with that exact universal number. Okay, even the Nazca lines, y'all. You see the lines going out? Well, there's 8 lines here, 2 here, and 5 here. Divide them all by each other, you get 0.8. Okay. And as we know, a triangle is 360-degree angles. So times 2 is 360. So 0.8 times 360 equals 17,280. It's exact latitude once again. 14 by 41 by 30 seconds. Just multiply its actual position on Earth to get the number that's hidden in the code itself. It's showing why it is where it is. Okay? And if you want to get super deep, Emanuel Velikovsky's books will blow your mind. This is actually some of the truest stuff ever. Okay? This is the real history of Earth. Earth in upheaval, people of the sea. But I recommend Worlds in Collision. Super underrated. Scientists hate it. And it shows how this is the surface of Mars. That's not just a natural mountain, okay? This is super electrical discharges occurring and crazy electric storms, okay? And then if you get into this other documentary, it shows how symbols of an alien sky on the Thunderbolts Project. It shows how Venus and Saturn are actually much more present in the night sky than they are today. And it's how all these different cultures were hiding the archetypes in their own symbology. Okay? It's everywhere. And they leave their signs and we just say, oh, it's art. But no, it's not art. They're not just killing time like we are with movies. Everything they recorded is something spiritual or astronomical. Okay? Alright, so the code establishes how all major monuments are showing geomathematical similarities, thereby establishing an interconnected culture, as well as showing the same math on Mars. Atlantis was before Noah's flood, with space travel to Mars being frequent, and the flood was caused by the arrival of the artificial hollow moon. Okay? Aliens are probably up there, y'all. I mean, it wasn't just a planet who floated around and hit us and then bounced off and that's just so ridiculous. There's something going on. And it ties into the whole reptilian race ruling this earth right now. And yes, I'm going to go there. I'm not saying they're lizard people, but I'm saying they're possessed by lizard fucking people, okay? And the original Sphinx, it actually showed a lion's head, okay? The pharaoh's head didn't come till later. And that represents the age of Leo, in which all that stuff was happening. And now the world was put under the burden of Egypt, like the Bible says, and nature was worshipped and misinterpreted by the Atlantean ancestors. Okay, and then they just kind of mixed it all together and instead of seeing the source of God in it. And then the age of Gemini, right after Cancer, a bunch of twin gods were appearing. They were worshiping that archetype of astrology, the Gemini twins. Then the age of Taurus was all the bull worship, and the age of Aries brought Moses, and that's why he had the ram's horn. The Aries is the ram. Okay? And of course, right after that is the Pisces fish. And Jesus brought grace and mercy and took away the sins of the elect. Okay? This is the age of grace and mercy right now. And it's almost over. Age of Aquarius is the end times, dude. Okay? And the Maya were direct descendants of Atlantis. Hence their extreme astronomical intelligence. But the Whore of Babylon burned all their church and history and science. So we just have to catch up and make YouTube videos to help each other. Okay, even in the book of Mark, Jesus said, Mark 14 and 13, he sendeth forth 2 of his disciples and saith unto them, go ye into the city, and there shall ye meet a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. And then it's the Last Supper. Okay, so this is symbolic of the age of Aquarius being the end times. After Jesus' grace and mercy, all the Pisces archetypes of that kind of stuff, it's Aquarius, okay? It's the age of judgment. And it's intense, y'all. Okay? Edgar Cayce, a famous Christian psychic, he said the pyramids were around 10,000 BC, just like we've been saying, but that the Exodus was closer to around 5,000 BC, which is interesting. But anyway, this is all, some of it's interpretive, but these are all history books. Okay? This whole moon thing is 100% a false, fake history. And we need to just come together and say, hey, the system's wrong. no one's going to believe you, but that's part of the being a believer, is that you will be laughed at by the world. It's like a compliment when people don't believe you. And I know that sounds like a dumb culty thing to say, but guess what? That's what the system made you think in the first place. All right? And the winged dragons of China, and that's all representative of archaeological truths. Okay? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you can realize the depth of the lie. This lie is huge. This lie is long, and it's crazy. But the Bible explains all of these types of situations. It's not some New Age book, some guru. The good old Bible is hiding these secrets, but we just now have the understanding to be able to unlock the secrets and realize the huge lie that we've been fed basically for 10,000 years. Okay, because as Revelation says, the beast runs this world, y'all. Revelation 17:17. For God hath put in his heart to fulfill his will and agree and give the kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So there's not going to be some great revival and world peace. The world is given to the kingdom of the beast until judgment day. And you're supposed to be looking out for heaven, not some heaven to come down from the sky, like the Bible says literally. The Bible has a literal meaning, a spiritual meaning, and a heavenly meaning. But that's Swedenborg, and we'll get into that later. Have a good one, y'all. Stay safe.